Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really focused look at Surah Qaaf. That's the 50th chapter of the Quran.
Hmm.
We're using a pretty comprehensive exegetical study here, looking at it not just as history, but really as a guide for the heart.
That's right. It's a Makan surah, revealed early on when things were tough.
Mm.
And it has this one central aim, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It answers that huge question about the certainty of resurrection, al-Bath.
It really does. It's like a direct strike against doubt. And its placement in the Quran is fascinating, too.
How so?
What comes right after Surah al-Hujurat?
Which deals with social conduct, adab, right, community ethics.
Exactly. So you have this chapter on how to behave, the ethics, the akhlaq of a community. But then comes Qaaf, driving home the point that, well, ethics alone aren't enough. They just don't stick.
Okay. So the external behavior needs something deeper.
Precisely. A society's morals, its akhlaq, they're fragile without that solid foundation of creed, of aqidah. Surah Qaaf is like laying down that bedrock. It reminds us there's a bigger picture than just social rules.
And that bedrock was reinforced constantly, wasn't it? The sources really emphasize how the Prophet, peace be upon him, used this surah.
Oh, absolutely. There are strong reports,
Yeah.
authentic ones, that he would recite Surah Qaaf every single Friday.
Every Friday, from the pulpit, the minbar.
Yeah, during the main congregational prayer. Think about that rhythm.
Wow. That's significant. It wasn't just a one-off thing.
Not at all. It was like essential spiritual fuel for the community's weekly reset. Every 7 days, these massive themes, resurrection, being accountable, God's power, the reality of our return, they were being injected right into the collective mind.
Like a recalibration for the heart, the qalb.
Exactly. You can't stay spiritually alert or keep a society ethical if you keep forgetting the end game, which is accountability.
And that focus on accountability brings us right to the main conflict the surah tackles from the get-go. It directly addresses the denial of the Meccan disbelievers. They just couldn't wrap their heads around being brought back after turning to dust.
Right. They didn't just disbelieve. They were astonished. They called it a wondrous thing, ajiban, and a far return, rajun bad. Like it was utterly absurd.
Russian bad. That phrase really captures their mindset. Far-fetched return.
It does.
Yeah.
And that denial, that idea of it being far-fetched is what the whole surah systematically dismantles. It builds this really solid case.
How does it do that? What's the approach?
Well, the traditional commentators talk about a tripartite argument. 3 lines of evidence to prove resurrection is certain.
Okay, what are they?
First, the evidence from creation itself, al-Khalq. Then, lessons from history, al-Tariq. And finally, the undeniable reality of God's total knowledge, al-Ilm.
Creation, history, and divine knowledge. Okay, let's dive into that. So the opening itself, it starts with that single letter, kaf, and then an oath. By the glorious Quran, wa Quran Majid. It grabs your attention immediately.
It really does. That single letter, kaf, it belongs to those mysterious letters, the huruf al-muqatta'a. And one strong understanding is that they function as a tahadi, a challenge.
To challenge. How?
It's like saying, look, this book, this Quran, which baffles your best poets and changes lives, is made from the same letters you use every day, Q-A-F. It points to its divine source. It's saying you use these letters, but you could never produce this.
Okay. So it's establishing its unique origin right away.
Exactly. And that immediately teaches us something, doesn't it? A kind of intellectual humility. We're dealing with something glorious, Majid. We can't fully grasp it. That demands respect, reverence.
You have to approach it with the right attitude.
You do. And right after establishing that reverence, the surah turns to why the disbelievers are rejecting it. It says they wonder, ajibu. But the sources suggest this isn't genuine wonder, like curiosity. It's more like astonishment rooted in denial.
Okay, and you said this denial works on 2 levels.
That's right. The first objection, mentioned right there in the verses, is that the warner, the nadir, is just a human from among themselves.
Someone they know, someone ordinary.
Exactly. And that points to, well, tribal arrogance, maybe. Contempt born of familiarity. They expected an angel, maybe a king, not Muhammad, the man they knew.
So their familiarity became a barrier to seeing the truth he brought.
Precisely. It's a classic problem. If wisdom comes from someone seemingly ordinary, it's often dismissed.
And the second objection?
That's the big one. Resurrection itself is Rajan Bide, a far-fetched return.
Why did they find it so unbelievable?
Well, think about it. If resurrection is real, then accountability is real. And if accountability is real, then their whole way of life, seeking power, status, pleasure, without limits, It all gets called into question. It's deeply inconvenient.
So it's less an intellectual problem and more a lifestyle problem, a cognitive bias against accountability.
That's a huge part of it. It's much easier to call something far-fetched if believing it would require you to change everything. And the life lesson for us, is timeless. How often do we dismiss something profound just because it came from someone familiar or because its implications make us uncomfortable? We need to check, is it really illogical or just inconvenient?
That's a tough question to ask ourselves. Their argument, though, was based on physical observation, right? When we're dust, how can we return?
Yes, they argued from material decay, what they could see. But Allah's response in verse 4 flips the perspective entirely. It moves from the material to the informational.
How so?
He says, essentially, we know exactly what the earth consumes of them. Your body decaying. Yeah. Relevant. And with us is a preserved book, Kitab Hafiz.
The Kitab Hafiz, so it's not about the physical bits, but the information.
Exactly. Their concern is material loss. Allah's answer is informational perfection. Every particle, every atom is tracked. Nothing is truly lost. This Kitab Hafiz, commentators agree, points to the law of Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, the ultimate database.
Wow. That idea that everything is recorded, preserved, that changes everything. It's the basis for feeling God's awareness, Muraqabah.
It has to be. If the record is perfect and preserved, then accountability based on that record is absolutely certain. There's no escaping it.
And what happens if you deny that fundamental reality? Verse 5 seems to address that consequence.
It does. It says, when they rejected the truth, al-Haqq, when it came to them,
yes,
they were thrown into a state of confusion. The term used is amrin mareej.
Mareej, what does that really mean?
It's a powerful word. It means muddled, disordered, confused, chaotic, incoherent. It's not just intellectual confusion. It's like their whole inner world falls apart.
So denying the ultimate truth leads to inner chaos.
That's the spiritual equation presented here. Reject the anchor of Tawhid, God's oneness, and Akhira, the hereafter, and your own reality becomes mareej. It's a timeless description of moral confusion, existential anxiety. Without that ultimate frame of reference, everything just dissolves into disorder.
Okay, so if denial leads to this amrin mareej, this inner chaos, what's the cure? The Surah seems to offer one right away.
It does. It shifts the focus immediately. Away from the muddled human arguments and outwards, towards the clarity of the universe. The argument from creation, al-Khalq.
Right, verses 6 to 8, it basically tells them to just look up.
Exactly. Did they not look, yanzuru, at the heaven above them? How perfectly structured it is, adorned with no gaps, furush. It's presented as this flawless canopy, bina, orderly, majestic.
A stark contrast to their inner mareej.
Precisely. And then it directs the gaze downwards. Look at the earth, spread out, madadnaha, anchored by mountains, rawasiya, bringing forth all kinds of beautiful, joyful plants bahai.
It's an explosion of life and order.
It is. But here's the crucial part. This whole display, this cosmic curriculum, is called a tabsira, an insight, and a dikra, a reminder. But notice for whom?
Who is it for?
For every servant who turns, the ab muneeb.
Muneeb, someone who turns back, repents, reflects.
Yes. The signs are everywhere, but they only register, they only become insight and reminder for a heart that is actively turning towards the Creator. Contemplation, tafakkur, isn't passive sightseeing. It requires inaba, that active turning.
So the universe speaks, but only a receptive heart truly hears the message about the Creator's power.
Exactly. If a heart is stubborn, a need, like those mentioned later, the signs are just scenery.
Okay, so after the grand scale of the cosmos, the argument seems to zoom in, right, to the water cycle.
It does. Verses 9 to 11, Allah sends down blessed water, man mubarakan, this agent of life, ihya. It brings forth gardens, grain, palm trees, life from dead earth.
And this is where the analogy, the kiyas, comes in, the direct counter to Rajun Bud.
This is the knockout punch, logically speaking. Look, he says, we revive a dead land with water. You see this happen.
Yeah.
Every year. And then the hammer falls. Kadelika al-Khuruj. Thus is the coming out, the resurrection.
The logic is so simple. If I can do this, bring this vast, complex land back to life with simple water, why on earth would you doubt I can bring you back?
It completely demolishes the far-fetched argument. Resurrection isn't some theoretical impossibility. It's analogous to a process they witness constantly. Every spring, every revived field is like a mini trailer for the day of judgment. It makes turning back inyapa the only rational response.
Okay, so proof from creation, proof from the water cycle. What's next?
History, the argument from al-Tariq. Verses 12 to 14 lay out this gallery of past civilizations that met their end.
Right, it lists them. People of Nu, Ras, Thamud, Ad, Pharaoh, Lutz people, Ika, Tuba.
And these weren't minor tribes. The text often emphasizes elsewhere they were powerful, Ashadu Bachan stronger in might than the Makkans being addressed. They built things, they dominated.
They probably felt invincible, just like powerful nations often do.
Very likely. But their common crime wasn't lack of power, it was denial. They denied the messengers and the message of accountability. And so their common fate was destruction. The divine threat, the Wa'id, was fulfilled.
The lesson being
That arrogance and denial aren't new. They're recurring self-destructive patterns. History isn't just dates and names, it's a series of moral case studies. Are we falling into the same trap today, thinking our power or technology makes us immune?
it's a sobering thought. And that leads to the final logical point in this section.
Yes, verse 15. It poses this devastating rhetorical question. Were we wearied by the first creation, al-khalq al-awwal?
And the answer is obviously no. Creating the entire universe from nothing didn't tire the creator in the slightest. The Quran mentions elsewhere, no fatigue, the cub touched us.
So the unavoidable conclusion is, if the first creation from nothing was effortless, then recreation, khalq and jadid, bringing back what already exists in some form, well, that's logically even easier.
Their denial, then, isn't based on logic at all.
No. The surah says they are in lab's confusion. It echoes that earlier state of amrin mareej. The takeaway is huge. Believing in resurrection isn't some blind leap. It's actually the more logical position. The sheer existence of the universe is proof enough that the one who did it the first time can certainly do it again. Doubt comes from confusion, not reason.
Okay, so we've had these big external proofs, the universe, history, the logic of creation. Now the focus shifts dramatically, doesn't it? Right down to the individual.
Right into the heart and mind. This section is about divine omniscience, al-ilm, and how that forms the basis for inescapable accountability. And it starts with verse 16, one of the most profound verses about God's closeness.
We created man, and we know what his soul whispers to him. Tuwaswisu bihi nafsu. That word was wasa, the whispers of the soul. It's incredibly intimate.
It is. It's not just actions or spoken words. It's the fleeting thoughts, the hidden intentions, the things you barely admit to yourself, all known.
And we are closer to him than his jugular vein, habla weird. What does that proximity mean exactly?
It's crucial to understand this isn't about God's physical essence being located there. The classical scholars stress it's about the absolute closeness of his knowledge and awareness.
Yeah.
And maybe also the closeness of his agents, the recording angels. The jugular is vital for life. God's knowledge is even more intimately connected to your very being.
So it's both a warning and a comfort.
Absolutely. The warning, nothing, absolutely nothing is hidden. Accountability is total. The comfort. You are never, ever truly alone in your struggles. He knows the inner whisper, the waswasa, you're fighting against.
It really defines that concept of Isan, doesn't it? Worshipping as if you see him, because he definitely sees you.
Perfectly. It mandates striving for that complete inner sincerity, Ikhlas, knowing even your most secret thoughts are open before him.
And this awareness is backed up by a system, a mechanism for recording, verses 17 and 18.
Yes. The al-mutalaqiyin, the two receivers, the angels, sitting on the right and the left, recording everything.
And verse 18 says, he utters no word, but that with him is an observer ready. Rakibun atid. No word. That's intense.
It is. Lavis can mean even a casual utterance, something seemingly insignificant. And the angels are described as rakib, constantly observing, and atid, always ready, prepared. Nothing slips by.
This holds all speech accountable then, not just formal statements, but gossip, casual remarks, online comments.
Everything. It makes that famous hadith, speak good or remain silent, intensely practical. Before you say something, especially something negative or pointless, you have this mental rakib atid check. Is this worth recording for eternity? Is this how we want to be represented on the day of judgment?
It's a powerful filter for communication.
A necessary one.
Now the timeline shifts again, right to the end of life, the unveiling, verses 19 to 22.
Yeah, so the sakrat al-mawt, the stupor or intoxication of death, it comes bil-haqq, with the undeniable truth. And the address to the soul is chilling. This is what you use to evade tawhid.
Tawhid, running away, dodging.
We spend so much energy avoiding the thought of death and judgment. But the sakrat itself, that moment cannot be dodged. It brings the truth forcefully. The lesson is stark. Stop evading. Start preparing. Meet that truth with readiness. not terror born of neglect.
And then the judgment scene itself. The horn blows, the day of the threat, Yamawaid, souls come forth, but not under their own steam.
No, that's a key detail. Each soul comes with a sa'iq, a driver, and a shaheed, a witness. You lose your autonomy.
All that driving we do in life, our careers, our plans.
Gone. On that day, you're driven to judgment, and your own deeds, or the angels who recorded them, become the witnesses against you. It really emphasizes the need to drive ourselves towards good now, while we still have the choice.
And the climax of this section, verse 22, explains why that moment is so overwhelming. It gives the diagnosis for our state in this world.
You are in heedlessness, ghaflah of this. Ghaflah, that state of unawareness, distraction, spiritual slumber.
So we have removed from you your veil,
That veil of heedlessness is forcibly ripped away, kashafna. No more hiding.
And your sight today is iron. Hadid.
Hadid. Sharp, piercing, penetrating. All the confusion, the mareej, the denial, it just evaporates. Reality hits with absolute, unavoidable clarity.
So the choice presented is stark.
Incredibly stark. Either live comfortably in ghaflah now and have the veil torn away in terror later, or use the reminder, the dhikr of the Quran, to start removing that veil voluntarily, piece by piece, right now. The goal is to achieve that hadid sight, that sharp clarity about reality, before it's forced upon us. Right after that unveiling, the surah doesn't waste any time. It moves straight into the consequences of the anatomy of destiny. First, the profile of those condemned, verses 23 to 26.
It's presented as a divine command, cast into hell and then it lists specific types, like a checklist of things to avoid becoming.
Exactly. A checklist for spiritual self-avoidance. Let's look at the items. First, kafar, a need.
Kafar is disbelievers, but a need.
It means stubborn, obstinate, actively opposing the truth even when it's clear. Not just passive disbelief, but aggressive rejection.
Okay. Then lil-khayr.
This one is crucial. A preventer of good. Not just someone who neglects good deeds, but someone who actively stops good from happening. Blocking charity, discouraging piety, putting obstacles in people's way. Actively hostile to goodness.
Wow. That's specific. What else?
Mutadin, the transgressor who violates boundaries, ignores limits. Muneeb, the one who not only doubts, but actively sows doubt and confusion in others. And finally, the root of it all, shirk, associating partners with Allah, compromising that absolute foundation of tawhid.
It paints a picture of someone actively working against truth and goodness.
It does. And the immediate lesson is self-audit. Am I being in need when truth is presented? Am I even subtly acting as a manna lil-khayr in my family or community? It demands real honesty.
The scene then shifts to the judgment itself, and there's this blame game, verse 27.
Yeah, the Korean, the devil companion assigned to the person, speaks up. He basically says, hey, it wasn't all my fault. I didn't force him. He was already way off track in extreme error.
Trying to pass the buck.
Exactly. Denying ultimate responsibility.
Right.
He tempted, yes, but the choice was the individual's.
How does Allah respond to this?
The argument is cut short immediately. Verse 29. Do not dispute, la taktasimu, in my presence. The word my decree will not be changed. Time's up for excuses.
So the message is radical personal responsibility?
Absolutely. The hereafter, the akhirah, is the land of consequences. Blaming your circumstances, your companion, anything else, it's over. The decree is final. The waeed, the threat of justice, is fulfilled.
And that justice. Verse 30 gives this incredibly powerful, almost terrifying image.
It's one of the most awe-inspiring verses. Allah asks hell, are you full?
And the answer.
How min mazid, are there any more? An insatiable hunger for justice to be done.
That's chilling.
It is. And the hadith literature adds context. In Bukhari and Muslim, it's related that hell keeps asking, are there any more? Until Allah places his qadam, his foot or leg, in a way that befits his majesty upon it. Only then does it contract and say, cut, enough.
Enough. Wow. What's the purpose of such an intense image?
To instill heba, necessary awe, to shock us out of ghaflah. That question, are there any more, should echo in our minds, urging us away from the path that leads there. Justice is vast and absolute.
But then immediately there's a contrast. The scene shifts to the righteous, the mutakrin.
The complete shift. Verse 31, paradise is uzlafat, brought near to them, a great honor. And verses 32 and 33 give us their profile, the action plan for paradise.
Okay, what's on this checklist?
4 key qualities. First, Awwab.
Awwab.
Oft-returning. Someone who habitually repents, constantly turns back to Allah after slipping, not just one time, but it's their state. Recognizes imperfection, but insists on returning.
Okay. Second.
Hafiz. A guardian. Someone who guards their promises, their prayers, their responsibilities, and importantly, guards their senses, linking back to guarding one's speech and hearing earlier. They keep the trust.
Diligent. What's third?
This is the core of sincerity. Kasher Rahman bil-ghayb. They feared the most merciful in the unseen.
In the unseen, meaning when nobody else is watching.
Exactly. That's pure ikhlas, piety when utterly alone. And notice, they fear al-Rahman, the most merciful. Their awe is driven by hope in his vast mercy, not just terror. It's Ihsan lived out.
That's a high standard. And the fourth?
They came with a qalbin muneeb, a penitent turning heart. It brings us full circle to the Awwab who saw the signs in creation. The heart that turns from chaos finds clarity and reward.
So Awwab, Hafiz, fearing Allah in secret, and a turning heart. That's the positive roadmap.
It's the practical path. We need to ask, am I striving to be Awwab? Am I being a Hafiz of my duties? Is my worship sincere, even in private, bil-ghayb?
And the reward described for them? Peace, eternity, whatever they wish, ma yasha'un. But then there's something extra.
Yes. Verse 35, and with us is more, Mazid.
Mazid, more than paradise and fulfilling all desires. What could be more?
The ultimate reward. A famous hadith in Sahih Muslim explains this Mazid. It's the non-created reward. After granting them everything, Allah asks if they want anything more. They express complete joy. Then He lifts the veil, al-hijab.
Lifts the veil.
Yes. And they are granted the ability to look upon the face of their Lord. That is the more, the Mazid.
Wow. That reframes everything.
It really does. Our spiritual goals shouldn't stop at gardens and rivers. We should aim higher for the ultimate prize, that relationship, that vision. That's what should fuel our efforts to be Awwab and Hafiz. So, as the surah wraps up, it gives these final warnings and tools for resilience. It circles back one last time to that historical lesson in verse 36.
Reminding them of powerful past nations again.
Yes, those who are Shadu Bachan, stronger in might. And it uses this phrase, Nakabu fil bilad. They explored, penetrated, searched the lands, built empires, basically.
They seem to have mastered the world.
They thought they had, but they desperately sought Mahiz any place of escape, any refuge from God's decree, and they found none.
The message for us today seems pretty direct.
Absolutely. No amount of worldly power, tech, money, military strength offers any real escape, any mahiz, from death or accountability. The modern idea that progress can somehow conquer these realities is shown to be a recurring delusion. History proves it.
Okay, so if escape is impossible, what's the alternative? How do we benefit from this reminder?
Verse 37 gives us the conditions. The dikra, the reminder in the surah, is only truly effective for someone who meets 3 criteria.
Right. First, limun kana lahu qalb. Someone who has a heart, meaning a living, receptive heart, not deadened by ghaflah.
Exactly.
Second, al-qalsam, or who directs their hearing, intentional listening, not just letting it wash over them.
Active listening. And third,
Wa huwa shahid, and is mentally present, a witness. The heart needs to be present with the ear. Hudur al-qalb.
so it takes effort. Living heart, active listening, full spiritual presence. Guidance isn't passive.
Not at all. You have to engage fully.
And this engagement is needed because life involves challenges. The surah commands patience, fasbir. But it's not just gritting your teeth, is it?
No, it's an active patience, fueled by something specific. Verses 38 to 40 explain how.
How do we fuel patience?
First, by remembering the Creator's power. Verse 38, He created the heavens and earth in 6 days, and no fatigue, lakab, touched us. So connect our struggles to His effortless power. Don't project our weakness onto Him.
Exactly. What feels overwhelming to us is absolutely nothing to Him. Realizing that gives perspective and strength.
And the practical mechanism is tasbih, glorification.
Yes, fueled by tasbih on a schedule. Glorify Him, Qabla Tulu Shams, before sunrise, fard time, Qabla al-Ghurub, before sunset, Oz time, and Min Alail, at night. Disciplined remembrance connects your struggle to His infinite capacity. That's how you sustain sabr.
A very practical prescription for resilience.
It is. And then the surah closes with the final scene. Verses 41 to 44, the call will come from nearby. The earth splits open, Yom al-Kharush, the day of coming out.
And it emphasizes again.
That is a gathering, easy, yesir. For us, what seemed impossible is effortless for the Creator.
And the very last verse, 45, offers consolation and clarifies the mission.
The consolation to the prophet, peace be upon him, and by extension to anyone conveying truth. We know best what they say. Their denial, their mockery, it's all known, all recorded. Don't be disheartened by it.
But then the crucial clarification of the role. You are not over them a compeller, Jabbar.
This is fundamental. Your job, our job, is not to force belief. It's not compulsion.
What is the job then?
Falakir. So remind using the Quran, and who is the target audience? Whoever fears of my threat, wavy.
So deliver the message clearly, appeal to the heart that has some fear, some receptivity, but the results are not on you. No compulsion.
Exactly. It's a profound lesson in humility and focus for anyone involved in teaching or calling others to faith. Remind, don't compel.
Well, this deep dive into Surah Qaaf, it's been quite a journey. From the vastness of the cosmos right down to the secret whispers of the soul.
It really is a powerful antidote to ghaflah, to heedlessness, designed, as we saw, almost like that weekly reset to shake off denial.
We trace that path from the confusion of amrin, mareej, that state of inner chaos, from denying truth.
All the way to the stability of the qalbin muneeb, the turning heart that finds proof everywhere in creation, in history within itself.
And the core message seems to be that genuine spiritual growth, tazkiyah, absolutely requires that firm anchor of creed, aqidah, believing with certainty in that day of coming out, Yawm al-Khuruj.
That certainty has to underpin everything else.
So as we wrap up, the surah leaves you, the listener, with this really potent choice, doesn't it? Based on that stark imagery.
It does. You've seen the two realities, the comfortable illusion of ghaflah, living behind that veil.
Or the conscious, prepared life, striving for that hadid sight, that iron-sharp awareness of truth starting now. Which reality are you actively building for yourself today?
And think about that other piece. Every lafaz, every single word, recorded by that Rakibun Atid. Does knowing that change how you think about your speech, about silence, even about the thoughts you entertain privately?
The surah gives us the positive profile to aim for. Awwab, the one always returning, and Hafiz, the guardian, especially the one who fears the most merciful bil-ghayb when no one is looking.
That's the action plan. Because the ultimate prize, that mazid, the vision of the Creator himself, is the goal.
So perhaps the final thought to take away is, if that vision is the ultimate goal, how seriously, how consistently are you working on being that Awwab and Hafiz right now, today? Keeping that heart awake and turning.
A crucial question for all of us.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Surah Qaaf. Until next time, stay curious and stay conscious.